Welcome back to this show, everyone. This episode, I'm going to talk about the top 5 teams that I feel like are in trouble after 2 weeks into the season. Now, I'm not going to talk about teams like the Washington Commanders or the Arizona Cardinals, teams that had no aspiration to the playoffs this year to start with. I'm going to talk about teams that felt like going into the season, they had a real good shot at the playoffs and maybe an outside shot at the Super Bowl. So those are the 5 teams I'm going to be talking about. Teams that are struggling right now, and it's like what we had such high goals this season. Before I get to that, talk about dugout mugs. You got the barrel of a bat made into a mug. Pretty cool. They got all 30 baseball teams. They got wine glasses. They got shot glasses. They got anything you can think of with all 30 MLB teams. Perfect gift to someone you don't know what to get them. They're a big baseball fan. Perfect with 2 weeks left to go into the season. Surprise them with this. They'll love it. It's awesome. I'll leave a link in the description below. Hit it up. So let's get right to it. The team that the number 5 team I feel like that's in trouble is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got a win on Monday night, so that's good. But their offense just is not clicking. It's a good thing their defense came to play and were able to score 2 touchdowns on Monday, or else that would have been another loss. They would have been 0-2, but they squeaked it out, got a win, so they're 1-1. But all this hype going into the season about the Steelers, oh, their offense is great. Their offense in the preseason went 5 for 5 in touchdowns. They're going to be great this year. They're coming off a great into the season. It's just not looking good. It's going to be kind of bad. And this week they're playing the Raiders. They should be able. This is a pretty big. It's a rival game, so they should be able. If they can win this one, they'll be right back up there. Their offense got to get going. The Raiders did not look good at all on Sunday against the Bills. They had one good drive. First drive of the game was like, oh, Bills could be in for a game here. But then after that, it was typical Jimmy G. Just it didn't look good at all. They're terrible. The Bills were doing anything and everything they wanted to. So if the Steelers have to be able to get a win on this and make it look easy. If it's close, the Steelers might find them on this list again next week. The number 4 team, the Denver Broncos. There was nothing but hype about them this offseason. Like, oh my gosh, Peyton's gonna make Russell Wilson look so much better. Oh, yeah, we got this. 0-2. Lost to the Raiders. Everyone's when they lost to the Raiders, everyone's like, oh, it's all good. Raiders aren't that bad this year. They're pretty good. Yeah, Raiders got trampled on this week against the Bills, so they're obviously not that good. And then they lose to the Washington Commanders. How do you lose to the Washington Commanders? Like, come on. The Commanders are like one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, you cannot lose that game. They were up so much, too, in the first half, and then you'll lose. And it's not good. And the Commanders, like I said, are supposed to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And you can't, that's just a game you can't lose, especially if you have high expectations this season in winning and going to the playoffs, and then you lose that game. That's not pretty at all. Like, you have to win that game. Yeah. I mean, I know they lost by 2, but that's just a game you can't lose. And you're at home. That's unexcusable to lose a game to the Commanders if you have playoff aspirations. And being in the division that they're in with the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Raiders, and then the Broncos. Granted, right now that division going into the season looked like, oh, this is gonna be a real good division. Yeah, it's not looking so hot right now. All right, now the third team that's in trouble, the Bengals. Bengals are in some big trouble. They're 0-2. Burrow looked like he re-aggravated his calf last game, so he's hurt. That's not looking good. Their offense has stunk it up. The first week you could say, "Oh, it's because the rain." Second week, you got no excuse. You're 0-2. You lost to the Ravens. This week, you got the Rams. Rams aren't as easy as people thought they were going to be. They're one of the surprise teams this year so far. I mean, they won the first game against the Seahawks, and they looked pretty good. And honestly, they looked pretty good against the Niners. The Niners just came out and finally started getting some key turnovers, forcing some punts. So the Niners finally stepped up. But the Rams, they look pretty good. They're not world beaters, but they're serviceable. They can come out and they can make you work and make it a lot closer than what you think it's supposed to be. So that's going to be a big game for the Bengals to come out, and they got to insert their dominance and get a win out of that. One of my wild card teams to keep an eye on, the San Diego Chargers. They're 0-2, but in their two losses have been for a combined 5 points. So they could easily be 2-0. Easily 2-0. But 0-2 is not a pretty look. They just their defense has to step up. Their offense has to step up. Hopefully they'll get Eckler back this week. He was out last week, hurt my fantasy team. Thanks, Eckler. But yeah, if they can get Eckler back, that'll be good. So we'll see. Keep an eye on them. See if they can win this game, they'll get right back up there. So and step it back up. And okay, now the number 2 team on my list, the Vikings. Vikings had real high expectations, talking about, okay, the Packers are going to be bad this year. This is our time to take over. Let's do this. 0-2. And their problem is their offense. They have so many turnovers, turnover after turnover after turnover. They can't get the running game over. They just traded for Akers. So hope maybe he'll be able to do something. And he didn't do much with the Rams, but maybe with the Vikings, change of scenery, he'll be able to do something. But their turnovers are just bad. Against the Eagles, it was just like Thursday night's like, oh, they're driving, about to score. Oh, turn it over. Okay, they're driving. Oh, turnover. And even with all those turnovers, there's only 1-score game. They just barely lost that game. If they didn't turn it over as much as they do, there's a good chance they win that game. This week they're playing the Chargers, so that's gonna be a battle. Whoever can win that game will finally okay, we got to win. Let's right this shit. But the loser of that game is gonna be like, 0-3. We got to do something to turn this around. We cannot be 0-4. So this 0-3, it should be physical because neither team wants to go 0-3 to start the season with playoff aspirations. Now, my second team that's a wild card, an honorable mention, Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, they are 2-0. So can't really be too much of a disappointment, but they're not looking good. They're not looking that good at all. Against the Vikings, even with all those turnovers, it was only a 1-score game. And it's like something just doesn't look right with Jalen Hurts. I don't know if he's hurt or what, but he does not look comfortable. There was one play where his read option, he faked the handoff and he started running, and the defender was there, and he just fell. And the defender just huh? Like, what? Just touched him and what's going on? That was way too easy. So I don't know if he's hurt and they're just not saying anything or what, but they had a good amount of passing yards, but the only thing is half of those yards came on 2 plays. So you take those 2 plays out and their offense didn't do anything. So they're just a team to keep an eye on to see okay, are they going to start picking it up? This week they got a Bucks team that's also 2-0. Mayfield's coming out on fire. So that's going to be a big game to watch. 2-0 teams going at it to see who can go to 3-0 to start the season. Keep an eye on that one. All right, the number 1 team that is in trouble this year, that had playoff aspirations, is Chicago Bears. Like, there is so much going on with that team. DC just resigned because of health or something, because supposedly they raided his house, the cops, I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff going on over there. And then you have Fields, who has as many pick six touchdowns as he has passing touchdowns. And then yesterday he comes out and says, the reason I'm so robotic and not looking good is because of coaching. So you're just going to go and throw the coaches under the bus? That's not a good look. And then afterwards, he tried to back up and like, it's me, it's not the coaching. Like, dude, like you can't do that. To me, like I said, I don't know if I said this last week, but he's like Lamar Jackson 2.0. You force him to pass, and he's in trouble. There's a guy on YouTube who does like quarterback. He watches quarterback films and he goes over it. And every time it's Justin Fields, it's like an hour, hour and a half. And some of it, yeah, he gets back there and he's got nowhere and he takes a sack because the offensive line is piss poor. But then there's other times he'll drop back, he'll be looking right at the wide open guy, and he doesn't throw it, and he puts it down, and then he tries to run and get sacked. It's like, why did he not throw this? It's like he's hesitant. He doesn't want to throw it. He's like, I don't know if I can throw this. And then he just takes a sack or he runs. Like, pretty sure he had 6 sacks this past week. For a guy who's supposed to be known as a runner, 6 sacks is insane. You should not be getting sacked 6 times. That's like Jimmy G sackage. Like someone like that who doesn't leave the pocket. Okay, he can get, granted, it's still not acceptable, but 6 times more understandable with someone like that. But someone who's a scrambling quarterback who is supposed to be known to run, that can't happen. And the guy on the YouTube, he noticed he's just like really lazy in his drop back, taking forever to get back there. So I don't know what it is with them, but they're supposed to be the cream of the crop. They're supposed to be, them and the Vikings are supposed to be battling that, or them and the Lions are supposed to be battling that for the division. And the Bears are the Bears. There's so much drama in that organization right now. I don't know what's going on over there. They got the Chiefs, so they do not got an easy game this week. It's in KC. So there's a real high probability that they go 0-3 to start the season. People are going to start losing their jobs, whether it's a head coach or the offensive coordinator. There's going to be heads are going to start rolling, and it's not going to be pretty over there, especially if they go 0-3. And I'm not sure who they have in week 4, but it is not a pretty start. Let me know in the comments below of any team you think I missed, any team you think should be higher, any team that I should not have put in this. Let me know. Hit the link, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side.